All right, Coach. Thanks for joining me on the podcast. I think this is the first time we've had you in here, obviously.
Correct. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, you guys have had a good start to your season so far here in year 2. Tell me about your thoughts so far.
Yeah, it's been a good start. We've had a few bumps and bruises that have come along the way and some learning curves and opportunities for us to be able to take some things away from maybe games that didn't go quite the way we wanted them to. But I'm really seeing a lot of growth in our team from a maturation process on the floor, and I'm really excited about the direction we're going. I feel like pieces are really starting to pull together. It was interesting because now we're in the conference grind, in our non-conference schedule. It's just hit or miss. That's how most seasons are in terms of when do you play games. There's not a lot of consistency in terms of days of the week, and this is how many games you're going to get every week. There's stretches where you might play 2 or 3 games in a week, and there's stretches where you don't have a game for an extended period of time. And for the ladies, lots of practices weren't the thing that they loved as much. As coaches,
Sure.
You're like, yeah, I love that time. And we're really pleased with how we started the year. In terms of our non-conference play, we had some incredible teams that we played, a really tough schedule. I believe in that a lot in terms of preparing ourselves against good opponents, and it shows our vulnerabilities and areas we need to get better at. And so I felt like going into Christmas break, we were able to recognize some things that we needed to improve on, and then they came back with just a whole different focus about us, and I really like that. And now that we're in conference play, there's more consistency, there's more of a routine. And so I've had a couple games that didn't finish the way we wanted, but I'm really pleased with our effort and the direction we're going and the things that we're seeing improvement on.
I told Kyle this too when I talked to him last week, mentioning you kind of had that same transition from D1 to D2 where you guys have the full week off for Christmas. I mean, you've already had a full year with it, but in year 2, how do you get your players kind of, motivated and then telling them, hey, enjoy your holiday, but keep working out because you can't get out of shape here in this last week?
Correct. Yeah, it's definitely different. It's a different world. There's some D1 programs that hardly get a day off. There's just not the rules in place for that. And so that's not your concern as a D1 coach. It's just, hey, go home, get energized, get yourselves refreshed, and let's get right back at it.
Right.
And now it's, I think our girls had 9 days off, I think, without some physical activity. And they've earned it. They deserved it. So it's good for them, but it's that balance, and they know, they know of what kind of shape they're in. Are they student athletes that maybe have to put more time into it, or just, are they blessed with the endurance where they can maybe take a few extra more days, but they all put time into it, and they all get in the gym and get shots up on their own time. We certainly don't require anything. And it was so good for us this Christmas break, being year 2, I've been through it, but I'm still not used to it. I'm not used to that much time. And us as coaches, we have other things that we do during that break. We have some time. We enjoy our family and days away, but we also go out recruiting and do those things too.
Never stops.
It never stops. And that's good. That's what it should be, because, you're always working to get better. But this year I just felt like our players really did a good job of collecting themselves physically, emotionally, mentally, to get back and come to break after break and be really good. And I appreciate that. And I think we're in a really good spot because of it.
You guys, especially this season, the record shows you guys have been consistent, but you guys have already been bit with the injury bug quickly, and also illnesses. I mean, the flu going around a little bit. Tell me your thoughts on, some of these players having to step up quickly, and you guys still getting the job done with some of these main players out. Yeah,
it's tough. Last season we didn't really deal with that much, and this year it's kind of when it rains, it pours. It feels like sometimes, and it's just the cards we've been dealt. And I've always had the approach that that's why we work hard, and no matter what cards we're dealt, we're going to find a way to pursue it or get through it, and push through it and be better because of it, and every player on our team has to be ready to go. They never know when their opportunities are going to call or when their chances are going to come forward, and that's why we've got a team that we feel like is really good, because when somebody goes out, we feel like somebody else can step in, or roles need to increase and need to get better. And so it's tough. It's never easy. We definitely have had some adversity this year. Our team has come together through those moments, and I feel like they just always have each other's back, and we've been able to grow as a team. I've talked to some young kids about having to step up with their maturity. You're not this young first time freshman anymore. It's okay now. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
And that's just sports. You just never know when that's going to happen, and that's why it's so important to be sharp, to always have a focus, to have a purpose behind everything you do, because you just don't know.
Right.
You don't know on the good side, you don't know on the bad side, and you just never want to let an opportunity pass you by.
You guys had a great road trip too with it, with Jamie stepping up, especially against Southwest Baptist, and again, you talk about having 9 active players going against the top team in the country in Drury, and you guys held your own against them. I mean, that's got to be a great feeling.
We did. I never like to lose. I'm one of the most competitive people around, and in this business, you have to be, right. But I'm very proud of the effort that our team gave and their focus and their mentality. We had a slow start the first couple minutes. I think we got down 11 or so. But outside those couple minutes, for 38 minutes of the game, we only lost by 3 to the number 1 team in the nation. And there's things we could have done differently. We missed 10 free throws and had a few more turnovers than what I would have liked, and gave up a few more offensive rebounds than what I've liked. But we're right there in terms of working together and having a belief that we can compete and that we're a really good team. And we've got some inconsistencies that we're trying to clean up, so we don't have those hills and the valleys within a game or from game to game. And that comes with maturity. That comes with discipline and focus, and we're growing in that area. But yeah, I really was so proud of how hard we played. Our kids never stopped playing, and I'm very much of a coach that if I can see your effort and I can see how hard we're competing, and you go with that heart and that fight, at the end of the day, we'll live with what the result looks like, because I know that the process helped us get there, and I know that they gave everything they had, and I felt like it was a really good road trip in that regard.
You guys have, again, you talked about getting over some humps, obviously. Hennessy goes down with a bad injury about a week ago now, so working through that, going to the rest of the season, what have you told some of the girls about stepping up and losing a tough player like that?
Yeah, Hennessy is a great player, and it's a tough blow, and we've had a few of those, with Megan Foster going down earlier this year, and we've had some sicknesses here and there, but I say the same message, it's we have to stay together as a family. We have to be there to support one another. We've had a couple of our seniors out for a game or two here and there too, and unfortunately with Hennessy, she's done for the year, and that's unfortunate. But we stay together, we stay collected, and everybody's has a really important role in this team. And whether you're able to put on a uniform or not, you're valued, you're appreciated, and your role is important. And the standards and the expectations are the same. What that means for everybody else is that they're going to have to step up.
Sure.
And that's what being a part of a team is. Whether it's an off night for a player or if it's an injury like we've experienced, other players are going to have to rise up, and they're going to have to, every player on our team has got to get themselves a little bit better. We talk about that. We talk about individual development and getting yourself better and how that helps the team. And our focus is always the team. We've got some fantastic young ladies on our team who are individual talents, but we always talk about the team, what's best for the team. And that's why I think we're able to pull through when we do have an injury like that, where everybody understands that we've got the best interest of the team in mind, and everybody's responsible for taking a little bit step forward and helping our team grow.
Honestly, tough to lose her for the season, but one good thing, you get Callie back after being off a few games. She made a big-time impact, not really exactly on the score sheet against Southwest Baptist, her first game of 2020, but she made some big-time blocks at the right time, good rebounds, and ran the offense well.
She did. I kind of giggle with her, and I'm like, good job, Callie. Late in the game, I just commented on how much of a presence she was, and we were able to go to her, and she had some big-time plays, offensively and defensively too, and she giggled. She goes, yeah, it took me 3 quarters to get warmed up, but when you've been inactive for several days, that's to be expected, but yeah, she was really valuable, and she always is. She's just a really great player that you like to have out on the court, and she was able to come back to the Drury game and have more of the presence that we're probably used to, or what people are used to Callie having the presence. But it's really appreciative of her approach and her willingness and her toughness to kind of push through some of that, and she played well.
And the team itself too. I think you talk about the talent that the girls have, and there's a lot of individual talent, as you mentioned, but I think it comes into coaching too with, we talk about depth on your team, but it's the way your offense is set up, the way you turn defense into offense, turnovers into fast break opportunities, that if you get a good athlete out there and you can have, not just 5 core players, but have 10 players that you feel comfortable putting out on the floor at any time, that's got to feel good.
It does feel good, and that's the way I love to coach. It's a fun style to play. We talk a lot about being able to be versatile, be able to have some depth, be able to have players within their positions being versatile, kids that can play inside and outside, and that goes to how we play on both ends of the floor. Recently we've been doing a little bit more full court pressing, a little bit more mixing up our defenses from man to zone, and so we're being creative with that, and we've got some players on our team who that's a strength of theirs. And so as a coach, I've always appreciated mentors or other coaches in the business that always adjust to their personnel for that particular year. They're never content with, this is what I want to do. This is why I'm going to do it no matter what. I think you have to adjust based on your personnel. And right now, we've had a lot of success with getting up in the full court and forcing some turnovers and kind of speeding teams up a little bit and then mixing it up, whether it's man or zone in the half court. And that fits us really well. So, compliments to our players, compliments to our coaches. Certainly, I've got assistant coaches that are great too, that are always finding ways for our program to get better, and that's one piece of it. So it goes to the balance that you referenced. It goes to the willingness of our players to be coachable and try new things and buy into what we're asking them to do, and it's a collective effort.
Going to your side here in year 2, compare year 1 to year 2. I mean, as a head coach, you kind of get used to the university, you get used to the way things work, and then not only do you get used to the way they do things, but then you try to incorporate your own styles. Correct. So how does that change from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, I would say my year 1, I was trying to build relationships with our players and gain that relationship and that trust back and forth, and then familiarity with the university. Sure. I didn't know anything from the processes to the people or how anything works. First time head coach. And so year 2, certainly I'm familiar with the people now, and the process is a little bit more, but from a basketball side, we just want more. You just want to dive into a little bit deeper and to be a little bit better and raise your expectations a little bit more. In terms of the quality of young women we have in our program, they're just incredible. Year 1, they were incredible. Year 2, they're incredible. So I'm really proud of the people we have, the student athletes that we have, how smart they are, how well they do in the classroom. And so I'm really excited about that. In terms of on the basketball court, I wasn't sure what to expect on year 2. You kind of go in blindly on year 1.
Oh, yeah.
You have your vision in mind, and you have what you want to accomplish, and you work hard to do it. And then year 2, like I said, you just want it a little bit more. You want to find ways to be better. And so year 2, I wasn't quite sure what it was going to feel like. And I would say the biggest difference for me that I don't know that I was anticipating was just, we had a lot of new players come into our team. Yeah. And so we worked really hard last spring and last summer in terms of talking about relationships, getting to know each other, building that trust, building that family-like feel.
That chemistry.
Exactly. Off the court, because they can't do anything in the summer. So until they got to campus, I wanted to make sure that we are really strong in that regard. That's something that I value a lot, that I stress a lot within our program, just caring for each other. And they did so well at it. And our returners were wonderful. All of our new players were wonderful. And they just clicked right away. We heard comments about, wow, we're so close. And that's awesome. And, and on the basketball court, it took some time for everybody to understand each other's tendencies. And that's the difference between the first year, those players knew each other. They didn't know me and they didn't know my style, but they knew each other. And now this year, they all know me and they know my style, but they didn't know each other's tendencies. Right. And that was the biggest difference.
It's a whole
not
cycle
good or
like
bad.
That. Yeah.
Not one's better than the other. That was just a difference that I don't know that I would have anticipated going in. And that's why I'm feeling really good with where we're at right now, because they've been able to play some games now, get some of those opportunities under their belt. They understand each other's styles a little bit more, and that's why we're really connecting. And you'll see a lot of ball movement, and I'm really proud of that.
I think that's what was impressive about year 1, because, you have the challenge of coming in and you have your way you want to run things, but then you have somebody else's recruits, quote unquote, that were already here that need to also buy in. So I think it was a lucky, not lucky. It worked where you have great people, great athletes, and a good coaching staff that they bought in right away, and that's why you guys made it to the NCAA tournament and played well. And then this year now you add in your own recruits kind of sprinkled in, and it's like I feel like it's more of a comfort, I guess. Could you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm so blessed for what I inherited. I say that all the time in terms of my year one of what I inherited and how quickly those ladies bought into my vision and what I wanted to accomplish. And I'm so blessed for what we brought in this year and the group of returners that we have. There's awesome people. Honestly, I couldn't be more proud of who they are and the experience that they've been able to provide me as a young head coach, you know. But yeah, it's this level of comfort now, and we're able to just challenge each other in new ways because we have that. They've bought in. I don't have to worry about any off the court issues. I don't have to worry about players not getting along. I don't have to worry about, are they trusting what I'm saying? Are they buying into what I'm asking? I don't. I mean, we talk about those things and we use them as our core values and we stress them a lot. But our players just they do believe, and you can see that with how hard they play for each other. How we're able to, as a coaching staff, get more out of them when they don't know that it's possible. You know, and I don't think those things would happen unless they really believed and we're all on the same page.
It takes a weight off your shoulders because then you don't have to worry about the other stuff. You just worry about basketball.
Correct.
And I feel like there's so many other programs, not only in college, but professional teams, and that the chemistry doesn't work. And you have to work on the chemistry half the time and the basketball half the time. But if you work on just one thing because the chemistry's there, it's just that much better.
Yeah, the chemistry is so important, and it's something that I've really valued, and I want to make a priority in our program. And it starts in the recruiting process for me with the new players that I'm bringing in, right? But it also starts with the returners that have been a part of this program, and they're all great kids, you know, from awesome families that value the same thing. And it's amazing as we go through the recruiting process how we share how close our girls are to each other and the relationships, you know, off the court even, and you know, and they want to be a part of that, you know, and so you get like-minded individuals who want to be there for the team. They want to be there for each other, and it's not about themselves. And I talk about being a part of something bigger than yourselves. You know, jumping on mission, get on the mission of everybody being on the same page as you. You know, bring people along that are on the same mission as you are, and I think that's really, really important, and we have that, and I think that will get us farther. That'll get us through the tough times. Some of the adversity we've faced right now, that's what's helping us get through. Because if we didn't have that chemistry and we didn't have those relationship pieces, it's easy to fall apart pretty quickly. And I think we've grown together because we have such a good group of young women and coaches, and just a group that want to do it for each other and are all together.
What do you guys, for your career yourself, what would you say are the biggest differences and challenges, I guess, from being an assistant coach and being, because as assistant coach, you're all into it, though. You're part of the group, you're part of the family, but becoming a head coach is like another step. What's the differences and the challenges you face? Yeah,
you know, I loved being an assistant. You know, I was fortunate enough to work under some great head coaches and some successful programs. And you're invested. You're completely invested as an assistant. You need to be, right? And you're passionate. As an assistant, I took so much pride into the relationship piece and building that and building players up to, you know, doing a really great job of stressing what the head coach had wanted and being an extension of the head coach's vision and helping players along through that, you know, and challenging them, but also saying, hey, you got this, you know, you can do it, and I really appreciated that. As a head coach, I value that a lot as well. It's just different in terms of, you know, now you don't shut it off.
Right.
You don't shut it off, and
you can't just go home and like get away from work. It's always with you. Oh yeah.
Right. And as assistant, you certainly put time and you put work into it out of the office too, no question. But it's just a little bit different as a head coach. You know, it's funny because the coaches that I've worked for, I understand a little bit more of who they are now and just their processes because I'm in that chair, and you always look at yourself. We talk about evaluating.
Yeah.
We ask our players to evaluate themselves. We ask to really think critically. What could I have done better? What did I do great? But the first thing and the first person that I look at it is myself when it comes to these things. Like, ooh, I should have done that differently, or I wish I would have done that. And so, but I think that's what is keeping me driven and motivated, because I just want to find the best the opportunity, the best improvements, and best to give our players a great experience, and allow our players to become better every day, allow our coaches to become better every day, and recognize the things that we need to focus on, and then grow in those areas and stay driven and motivated with it. And so that's the biggest difference. You do just as much recruiting, just as much scouting for opponents. All that stuff is the same. The amount of time you spend with the team, the amount of time you're on the bus, traveling, all that stuff is the same.
Yeah.
None of that changes. Your responsibilities might change. I don't do as many tasks as I did as an assistant.
That's got to be kind of nice.
Yeah, and those things can be very time consuming,
Sure.
and I'm very thankful for my assistants who do a great job with that, because it's very important.
Yeah.
But just you just don't shut it off mentally. I remember a coach telling me one time that he had a recorder by his bed, because he would wake up or couldn't fall asleep and his mind would just be turning, and then he would just audio record himself and say, I got to do this, I got to do that. Well, I don't have that, but I put it in my phone. So I put notes in my phone, or if I'll text myself at night if I don't want to forget something, because then if you worry about forgetting, or a thought, or a conversation you want to have with your staff or your players, if you at least have it down, then you can shut it off for a second, but I won't forget this.
You can always delete it later, like that is such a good idea, because so many people think, man, I had a great idea last night while I was just laying in bed. You'll never remember it, that's such a good, that's good.
And I'm a list person too, so I can keep myself organized that way. And then there's always having a pad and paper, trying to,
no matter what.
Trying to write things down or draw some new things up, or, I pick the brain of so many other colleagues in my business. I did that as an assistant too, but just not to the same level as a head coach. So it's awesome. It's fun. I absolutely love the challenge, and so excited for the opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. And last thing I have for you, some goals that you have for your team, you and your team this year, and then going forward. It's always a tough question, but 5 years down the road, what do you want Lindenwood women's basketball to be looked at as? Yeah,
to answer that second part of the question first, I really, I just feel like we have this great base and this great foundation that we're starting to create, and it was already somewhat established before I got here, but to be able to take it to the next level, we just need to raise our stock a little bit, and the amount of time that our players put in and need to invest in living up to the standards and the expectations, because it's playing college sports is tough, it's demanding, and I really want people to look at us and be like, wow, that's a very respectful program. They play hard. They're not afraid to go out and compete, and they've shown so much growth. And I want to be that consistent team. I would say 5 years from now, I want our alumni to look back at us, and I want fans and just people of the game to look back and be like, wow, they've been able to be really consistent. I don't want the hills and the valleys. I don't want to have a great season and then drop off the next season. And that there's so many things that go into that. But that's really what I want. I want us to be consistent. I want us to be one of the best Division II programs in the country. And it's hard. And we've got so many great programs around us that we're competing with, whether it's within our league or just at Division II. And if it was easy, everybody would do it. And it's so hard, but it's so rewarding. And we're not there yet. That consistency piece isn't there yet, but that's where I want to get to. And so in terms of your first part of the question, what are the goals that we have for this year is we want to win. First and foremost, we want to win. We want to compete for a conference championship. We want to get to postseason. And then if we get there, we want to be able to progress. We don't want to just say, hey, this is enough.
Right.
But we've got an unbelievable league that we're in. The GLVC is very challenging, as we mentioned, just coming off of playing the number one team in the nation, in our conference play. And so we're going to be challenged every week. Every night we're going to have to be ready to put that uniform on and go, because anybody can beat anybody. Looking at the scores, here in these first 5 games of conference play, a lot of games have been close.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we're it's too early yet to see a lot of separation, but there's a ton of teams right now that are just at the same record. And so this week going into our conference play with our travel on Thursday and then come back home on Saturday, we're playing two teams that are the same record as us.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we're going to have to start separating ourselves.
That's how the GLVC is, though. It's not just basketball, but it's all the sports.
Correct.
It's just such a competitive conference.
It is, and so we're going to have to start separating ourselves. And every night, the game is so important, and it goes back to that discipline that we talk to our players about. Every day, you got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
And if you're not giving your best, somebody else is.
Right.
Whether that's somebody else on your team or somebody else in the league, like we have to be sharp and we have to be ready to go. And you just can't take days off. You can't take possessions off because that's what great teams do. Great teams compete all the time. And so, we want to certainly be, in a position where we can compete for those championships and we can say we're one of the best teams in our league and one of the best teams in the country. And it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And so I want our team to continue to show that growth. That's one of my goals for the team, is to continue to get better every day. And then you hope that the record displays that improvement.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time today. This has been awesome. As she mentioned, the Lions will go on the road to play University of Indianapolis on Thursday night at 5:30 tip-off, and then we'll return back for a 1 p.m. game on Saturday. And, Coach, good luck. We appreciate the time and can't wait to have you back on.
Thank you so much, DJ.